I mean, let's be real here. Desktop apps are the devil.
Do
So
you
many
use
apps.
Slack at least?
Nope. Slack in the
You
browser.
use Slack in the browser?
I don't. Why is that such a big deal? It's
I
right
don't know. That
there.
feels like boomer behavior. How do you even? That's shocking.
Do you know how many links I go to from Slack to other apps? Like it happens all the time. You're telling me that you go from the Slack app to the Chrome browser app, and then I got to alt tab back to the Slack app. That seems boomer to me.
Can't believe you don't use the Slack app.
It's great. It's just another tab. Why would I need anything else?
That's crazy.
Unfiltered office hours, asking our co-founders whatever we want, dropping knowledge. Management, baby.
All right, here's our intro.
Okay. I've been listening to a lot of NPR to get this right. AI is moving too fast for perfectly crafted content. By the time you write an article or polish a script, the moment's already passed.
Lucky for us, memorizing lines and hitting marks has never been our co-founder's forte.
At Guru, we've always valued candor, anonymous questions at town halls, honest answers in office hours, and that comment we just made about how bad these guys are at acting.
So we're trying something new, Unfiltered Office Hours. It's unscripted, barely prepared, and thanks to Rick and Mitch, somewhat entertaining, we hope.
If you're also trying to make sense of how AI is changing work and tech in real time, you're in the right place. I'm Christine.
I'm Bob, and we pretend to do marketing here at Guru. And we've somehow convinced our co-founders to let us record them talking about whatever we want.
This is our first attempt, so go easy on us, but not them. Let's get into it.
All right, now this is a short break we've built in to discuss how we're doing so far. What do you guys think?
What'd you think of our intro?
We're bad at acting? I mean,
Well,
it's true. I am
Maybe
bad
we're
at
all
acting.
bad.
So if you guys had to guess how much of our intro was written by AI?
100% all of it.
It's hard to say anymore. What is AI even? I don't know. We could start there if you want. Okay, well, let's move into the first question.
Too vague. Let's start with the one thing everybody quietly knows about AI, but no one wants to say out loud. It's only as good as the data you feed it. Workday's president of product called it out directly as a classic case of garbage in, garbage out. In a world where people are using ChatGPT to autofill workflows, enterprise tools risk becoming faster at being wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very true. I might even kind of back up, and before we say that LLMs are creating bad data, I think that they're, if you were to like summarize the problem since file storage systems existed, it's that you just have a bunch of these documents floating around that everyone's created and put in a place and forgot about over the last 10, 15, 20 years, however long your business is around. And I think that people have just kind of accepted that, or maybe better said, kind of brushed the problem away and pretend it isn't there. And I think now you're starting to see AI tools show up in the workplace, and they all are very much dependent on this data. And now the AI is starting to look bad, and people are starting to go, oh, I guess we actually do need to solve this problem.
Do you still see examples of teams or products treating AI as a silver bullet instead of, just...
I think, yeah. I mean, I think all of them generally are. Most of the big brands that you read about, don't get me wrong, are building amazing things. But I think when you see pitches that are like, oh, yeah, just sort of connect to your insert cloud storage system here and you're done. Now you have the context of all your company knowledge. I think that is a lack of recognition over the reality, right? But I think I also understand why those products are doing that, because the response of, oh, well, I guess I better go fix all that stuff first, just means that nothing's going to actually get done. And so, I don't think that's the answer either, but yeah, I think as you're starting to see people roll out these integrations, that's now going to spotlight the problem. And I think basically everyone is kind of complicit in it. And it's going to take leaders, frankly, inside these companies to go, okay, now we have to actually do something about this.
Yeah, there was an interesting framing from, I think it was the CEO of Klarna, that said, you have to treat AI like they're a brand new employee. They don't have any context about your company or about anything that you're doing. And if your information is not tailored in that fashion, then you end up with AI trying to fill the gaps because it's trying to understand tacit knowledge that employees know, but not necessarily AI knows, or that it's written down in such a way that AI can pick it up and use it. And I see this all the time, even with our people trying to employ our own product, that the information isn't written in a way that an answer could be definitively generated from the information that it's given, because there's so much undocumented knowledge or tacit knowledge that people need to fill the gaps, right? Side note, I did want to rename Guru to GIGO at one point, but then I think we'd have a problem with the naming, because people would go, well, is that like Gigo like GIF, or is it like Gigo like GIF? And I don't know if I want to get into that. Yeah, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
Is this a new proposal, or originally you're saying you wanted to name it garbage?
A new one. We'd keep the G.
Yeah.
Because it still matches.
Yeah, still 4 letters.
Yeah,
nice
still 4 letters.
G.
Yeah.
So you're saying that our product takes garbage and it spits out garbage.
That's what I heard.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why Mitch
with the proposal
is not on marketing. We keep him over there.
It's an idea. It's an idea.
Workshop it. Let's workshop
it. Yeah. We can workshop it later. I have a chat thread I can send you, Christine, so you can take the images and logos that I've produced.
Amazing. I'll just put them right on the marketing site. It's one button. Click.
We don't have to focus these combos around our product, but it feels like maybe that's a good spot to speak to it a little bit if you want. So how would you say, how is Guru keeping AI grounded in truth, and how is it attacking the problem of garbage in, garbage out, or at least how are you guys thinking about it?
Yeah, totally. Well, I think 2 things I'll share. Jump in, Mitch. But first is I think there's a transparency part to solve the problem, and that is that I think people within companies very much feel like AI can be a black box, and there's a lack of understanding. And, we're shifting from highly deterministic procedural systems to non-deterministic, think like a human kind of systems now. And so the first step, I think, in this problem is being able to understand where an answer came from, or an output came from specifically, being able to get to that and being able to see what that was, and then make your own determination. Was this thing right or wrong? And I think that's a pattern that a lot of things do. I don't think there's anything unique about that in what Guru's doing. But I think the thing that no one is really talking about today that we care deeply about, or I guess it's just how we've always thought about the problem, is, how you can on the fly improve or capture that missing knowledge that Mitch was describing a minute ago. And that's the part that I think is about to get a big spotlight beyond Guru in the industry, is sort of the need to do that. And again, if you sort of think of it as a continuum, it's broadly the way companies go about solving this today is they don't. So they take their AI and they just point it at all their stuff, and then they deal with a lot of messiness. Or on the other end of the spectrum, they go, okay, we're not going to do any AI stuff until we do a 6-month cleanup, audit, and retransformation of all our knowledge. And that's impractical from a progress perspective. And so that on the fly approach of how you can, as you're using the system, how can the system improve itself is, I think, what we think is the big unlock to how you actually fix this once.
Yeah, I think it's really scary for companies to just attach AI to the data they have and have employees just start asking questions without any of that transparency or visibility. Because ultimately, you don't know what is being generated by the AI. You don't know what types of questions your employees are asking. And we focus on that transparency because we want you to understand how your information is being used and how well it's being used. And it might actually be somewhat unnerving to see all these questions go unanswered. And then you go, wait a minute, if I am not seeing this, how would I ever improve this system, right? Things get improved when you start to measure it. And if you start to measure the success of AI through question answer and understanding whether those answers are correct, you then have a chance to improve that, which then improves every employee's experience with AI and every employee's productivity and efficiency and everything. So it's almost like, why wouldn't you want to do that and put transparency front and center, and then have the tooling like verification, like answer explainability, like we do, to showcase that you can improve the system by adding the right content that you need, verifying the content that you need, looking at the answer explain rules to figure out what's missing or why the AI couldn't answer it. And it does improve over time, and you end up improving answers and improving the employee's experience with that. And so yeah, it is unnerving to think about that at first, and people connect their AI to their current source of data and they go, this isn't going to work. But then without any of that, you would have no idea what employees are going to get when they put AI without visibility on top of their data.
It sounds like AI can't solve it alone, or at least that's what the stance we're taking. It needs some type of human involvement, which anyone, I guess, using AI these days, like, you probably quickly figure that out. It's like, this thing's great, but if you let it just do everything by itself, I don't know, you can only take it so far.
It's a good intern, but you got to give it the right guardrails.
Or it's like a copy of a copy of a copy. At some point, that starts to decline in quality, right? Because your foundation isn't good, and there's no one there to steer the AI back into what is good if you don't have a human involved.
I want to go back to something that one of you said about, sorry, I don't know which one of you, you're interchangeable to me, but one of you said something about companies just rejecting AI entirely and saying, like, we can't do anything until we do a 6-month audit. Why is that not right? Why is the thinking there wrong? Why wouldn't you want to just clean things up and then start fresh?
There is I would say, high top-down urgency to bring AI-driven transformations into companies. And so I think that lands as a unacceptable response to be able to say, yeah, hey, board, it like literally is happening in board meetings and coming down, and CEOs are writing their AI memos and putting all that stuff, right? So I think it's just not an acceptable answer to say, okay, boss, we're on it, but we're going to need, 6 months to do a cleanup. And I think pragmatically, there's a huge cultural shift. And I think we see this in our customer base. And if I were to oversimplify it, there are the customers that have not shifted into the AI mindset, and they show up and they go, well, the AI didn't respond with the perfect word for word answer. Therefore, it's wrong. Therefore, it's not going to work. You'd never grade a human that way. Like, you'd never be like, Christine, you didn't say that exactly, word for word the exact way. Instead, I would evaluate what you said by going, did she nail the key points? Yeah, she really did. And she kind of made it her own a little bit, but she nailed the points. It's a very awkward, unnatural thing, but that's actually more like what you need to do with the AI. And the customers on the flip side that frame it that way, they will tee up an AI launch and they'll say, listen, like everyone in the industry is telling you, you log into ChatGPT, what's the first thing you see at the bottom? Double check answers for accuracy. The system may hallucinate, right? Everyone's very much advertising this, yet sometimes people have these wrong expectations. But the other cohort of customers that come in, they come in and go, listen, we know we have some cleanup work to do. We know this is going to be a bit of a work in progress. We also know that, like, it's pretty transformational when you see what good looks like with this stuff. So we're going to launch this. And, here's how you, in the case of Guru, it's like, here's how you mediate that. You use the flagging system that's built into Guru to flag the things that were good and flag the things that were bad. And our commitment is we're going to review and improve that over time. The system's going to get smarter as we use it, and off we go. The culture thing is like with all this AI stuff, I think it's like 60% people and culture and how you're communicating this stuff inside your company, and like 40% the technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other reason why a 6-month audit process before utilizing AI is wrong is you have no idea if what you're doing is even what would help an AI improve. So similar to, you need a human in the loop to
Great point.
verify AI answers, you need AI in the loop to verify that the humans are writing the right documentation. If you don't do that in tandem, then you fail, right? You fail on both extremes. If you don't have a human in the loop, you fail that way. And if you don't have AI helping you do the audit as you go, then you also fail.
That's a really great point. Yeah. It's like, how's the LLM seeing this stuff? Like, in the old world, it was how are humans seeing this stuff? And in the new world, it's how are LLMs seeing it? But both have to be good. But I think it's a great call out. So you got to get your hands dirty in there and start trying that stuff and figuring it out. Yeah, it's a great call out.
That was a really good first section.
It
I
is.
feel like we got clippable content. I know.
We live for clips.
We're not duds,
Yeah.
Rick. Nice.
I know. You guys
Who knew?
I was going to, I mean, like, you know, how I was going to measure success was like, if we got one clip, I was going to be like, okay, like, it's our first try. So this is great. All right.
Yeah.
Segment 2.
Segment 2.
Confluence complex.
Yeah. So we dove into, for some of these, we dove into online review sites and things like that. And we wanted to try to pull out some, I don't know, spiciness. I don't know. We'll see. Let's dive in and see what happens. So this one.
We want to hurt you.
Yeah. The Confluence complex. We've all heard it. Guru's like Confluence, but with cards. Confluence is way more powerful. Guru's simpler, but maybe too simple. Here's our personal favorite. Confluence is powerful, but overwhelming. Guru is simpler, but limited. We thought we'd give Rick and Mitch a chance to weigh in on what's true, what's tired, and what this comparison gets completely wrong. What do you guys think?
If people love Confluence.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what's your honest take when people say Guru's just like Confluence, but Confluence light, maybe?
If people love Confluence so much, then why are they switching off it?
Good question.
That's kind of my take, is that Confluence has just been a staple for a lot of teams, but it honestly is not broken out of its roots, which is connected to Jira within the engineering group, primarily leveraged to provide status updates on Jira projects. And like an engineering-led tool, it has a lot of bells and whistles that allow you to do a lot of different things with Confluence. But as a knowledge management tool, as a tool that is actually going to help you improve your content, I don't think it does any of that. Is it good to store text in the cloud? Absolutely. But is it going to help you manage your knowledge the way we do? I don't think so. And so when I hear Guru is simpler but limited, I'm like, well, that's by choice. It's because there are a specific set of features and a specific set of capabilities that we are focused on that is intended to improve your knowledge and your information over time. And that is in direct competition to what Confluence does, which I think is more of a Swiss Army knife, can do anything, but not necessarily do all of it well.
So what does Confluence do right, you think? And then where do you think that complexity starts to break down?
Yeah, totally. I admire the company a lot. I mean, you know, Atlassian, I think the cool story about Atlassian is like they, you know, the VCs came up with the like PLG acronym, I don't know when, like 10 years ago or something now. And like Atlassian was doing it just, you know, that had nothing to do with a strategy or a playbook. They're very open about it. It was just like, we couldn't afford to hire salespeople. So we're like, well, shit, we better figure out a way to sell this stuff online and let people do it, right? Like those are always the best stories, right? It's like honest. They aren't like spinning it. And I always admired that. But zooming into the product a little bit more, and Mitch, we're gonna have to tell our secret about Confluence now.
I know. I'm sure it's still out there.
We have
still
to
out there if you find it.
But the thing they get right, and the thing they have done really well, which I think is also their weakness, is they have really leaned into the developer workflow. Like the whole thing that made Atlassian great is like the world used to do waterfall software development, and then the world, you know, the development world moved to agile development, and the way that you manage those projects had to change. And then Jira was born, and then shortly after that, Confluence was born. And what I think they did very intelligently was deeply integrate those things together, so that as you're managing your work in Jira in this new way of working, you can like easily document it. And so if you're an engineering team, that's a very seamless experience. And most of the digs that we get tend to be, for valid reasons, coming from engineering teams who are like, don't take my Confluence away. It's deeply integrated into my work. And that, I think, is very true and very valid. The problem happens when you want to go and use it outside of that. And that's usually where Guru comes in. You know, these days, by the way, rarely do we go in and say, you got to rip Confluence out. We integrate with it. We index it. We search into Confluence. But a lot of customer facing teams much prefer using Guru, and like, including ourselves. So when Mitch and I were at Boomi together, Mitch like came in one day and he was like, dude, I found this amazing thing. You know, Mitch was running engineering at the time at Boomi. He's like, I found this amazing thing. It's called Confluence, and it's this wiki thing, but like we can make it about Boomi. So instead of support people bothering me all day, we can write this thing and put all the knowledge in here. It's going to be amazing. And then we're going to publish the site to the company, and then they'll be able to use that. I like remember this vividly, and I'm like, oh my God, yes. And then we like put all this work into it, and we built this wiki thing, and there was like some town hall, and I was like, oh my God, Mitch made this great thing. Look at this, go here, stop shoulder tapping, blah, blah, blah. Like literally a month later, we're like, well, no one used that. and it was like the problem, right? It was just like, I think the sales team probably went there and they were like searching around, and they're like, I don't know. I think literally it's like, it's hard to find stuff and search for things. The search problems with Confluence are very well documented and known because it's a huge product inside a huge company. A lot of times the index, doesn't correspond with the actual content that's written in Confluence. So, I imagine a sales rep's probably going in there searching around for stuff, and they're like, I found this page. Is this actually accurate anymore? Because I'm not sure. Well, I better just go check in with Mitch anyway and just see what he said. And, and he's sitting there like, why did I build this thing? And there's literally a case study though, because when we were still in the like honeymoon period, there's a case study of me and Mitch being interviewed by someone at Atlassian about how like Confluence is going to change the world at Boomi. I think it's still on the internet. I don't know. It might still be on the internet, but anyway, it should be weaponized against us. That thing exists. And then like, I think probably a month later, we were like, oh God.
I love that.
And we turned
I've never heard that story. I don't know how many people here have.
And season 1, episode 1, we uncovered the deep, dark truth.
We're great at this.
Yeah. This is what we're doing.
Two classic type 7s, right? We don't even have the thing launched yet. We're like, let's do a case study. This thing's going to change the company.
All right. To be fair, it was Jira Studio, which integrated Jira, Confluence, Bamboo, Greenhopper, all sorts of stuff. And yes, if you dive deep into the Google search results, you will be able to find you'll be able to find where I am literally yes. It's a whole presentation. I was so excited. Move away from the server closet.
Oh, cloud.
Yes, it was cloud. That's why it was so exciting, because we could move everything to the cloud and get all sorts of stuff. Wow, there's a whole bunch of slides from me here. It's fascinating.
Did you actually did a talk or something about it?
Yeah. I was in a talk. It was with a bunch of people.
I didn't know that part of the story. This is getting better.
I know, it's great. Man, I was Captain Jira Studio for a while.
And then that planted the seed, I guess.
Yes, it planted the seed, because what happened was we did try to push Confluent out to everyone. And then we got to a point where the documentation wasn't being updated enough, and we started to put Confluence updates as part of people's performance reviews. Literally. Because no one, could you imagine every quarter, and this is Dell we're talking about, right? So we're in full corporate mode. We have our big Talio, performance management system where you have to have everything roll up to OKRs. And do you remember this? This is like pure corporate bureaucracy being passed down to engineers. They're literally, okay, I'm going to create a goal. You must update 10 Confluence pages every quarter. And they would have to come with receipts. And
how long did it take you to say, I could productize this. I could automate it and call it verification, maybe.
Maybe. But yes, that is exactly
2 years after that.
Yes, it was 2 years after that. I mean, that was the impetus for just us going, there has to be a better way. There just has to be a better way.
So what I'm hearing is you both got put on PIPs because you couldn't update your own Confluence documents. Yeah. And then you thought to yourself,
so good.
How will I ever be employable?
So good.
And you started your own company. So
that's right. Can always employ yourself. Can always employ yourself, Christine.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now we just tip each other. That came out wrong. Okay.
That's a clip.
Well, I mean, should we mention the second seed planted? Because it is kind of the perfect story arc into the...
Take it away.
At least the moment... Well, Mitch has heard this a bunch. Like the moment when I remember coming home and being like, all right, we got to do this. The 1-2 punch. We got to do this Guru thing. And this is the other big product that has problems, let's say, and that's SharePoint. And so, yeah, I was still working for Dell, but it was like coming, sort of towards the end, and I was at a Gartner event, and there was a Gartner event on knowledge management or something broadly in that realm. And I was like, oh, cool. And I like sort of snuck into the session, got in the back, and room started filling up. And at the front of the room on the stage, there were 5 chairs, 5 people who all worked for Gartner. And the session was exclusively about SharePoint. And so like my first thing was like, where are the Microsoft people? Like, why is Gartner here doing, like, it sounds nice. Like if there could be events about Guru and other people are just showing up and doing all the work and we just sit here, but it was like just Gartner people. And they got like 10 minutes into this presentation and it like devolved because people started raising their hands and they started taking audience questions. And then people started lining up in the hall, in the like aisleway, waiting to get up and answer their question. I'm not exaggerating. And it was mostly like IT leaders and they were like super agitated. I'm like, this is insane. Like what's going on? Like SharePoint's striking a nerve. But like when you really peeled it back, it was this sense of unfulfilled needs and things they were told they were going to get that they didn't get, and frustrations around the quality of the product, and a lot of business people hammering them within their company going like, I need this to do this project. I need this to happen. And I walked out of there just thinking like, this product is stirring up this emotion with these people within these companies. And man, this has got to be a huge unsolved problem, a huge opportunity. And so like, if Confluence is the story on the engineering side, I think SharePoint is, call it, kind of the business user side of that story. And in both cases, I think Mitch and I came away just like, this is like a train wreck situation. Because I mean, it's really an eyes wide open going, you don't go in and like sort of find white space when your competitors are 2 enormous, massive tech companies, unless you have a really clear point of view on where you're gonna, build something you think can be 10x better. But I think that really gave us the like, oh, this is an unsolved problem, a really weird setting.
The SharePoint people are upset. I go on the subreddit sometimes and they're not doing well. They're very mad. It's like it's like its own town hall.
Yeah.
But
but conducted in Reddit live.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, if you ever are having a bad day though, go hop into that subreddit.
just bask in others' misery.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
All right, let's segue. It is easy to find, at least it was for this exercise. It was easy to find a lot of people on Reddit and G2 and whatnot talking about their issues with Confluence as we went through, and SharePoint for sure. We tried to challenge ourselves. This feels like we're like bragging, but it legitimately was kind of hard for this segment. We wanted to find 1-star reviews of Guru and then speak to them. This was difficult, but we found some sentiment. I don't know if you want to take this one, Christine, or
the third one, right?
Yeah.
So one thing we love about our customers is that they're not shy, even when they say things like this. Guru's verification helps, but keeping content fresh still takes work. And honestly, it's fair. A verification is not a magic wand. You still need process, ownership, and some human discipline. So we wanted to ask Rick and Mitch, how do we think about that trade-off between automation and accountability?
Good one. You want to open, Mitch?
So I think one of the things that I miscalculated was people's desire to have inbox zero. And verification is arguably completely against inbox zero, where you just have a continuous stream of information that needs to be verified in some fashion. And I think the intent is good. We want people to be looking at the content that they have written. And even if that content is information about an immutable fact, like July 4th, 1976, right? Like that's an immutable fact. But you still look at it and go, do I even want this in my knowledge base or not? So even verification can help with immutable facts and asking if it's correctly, organized, if you even want it still, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it is work. It is work. The customers who do really well with it are the ones who are able to put a process behind it, or just manage it in a way knowing that they will never be 100%. And our customers get to 95, 99% a lot on their verification score. But I will admit it's a lot of work. The light at the end of the tunnel, and what I see opportunities for AI and humans together, is being able to automate and figure out ways to automate that process so that it is no longer such a task list of things to do, and it's more of a automation that involves AI, allows AI to figure out what is actually changing within the knowledge base, and to flag certain information that does need to be verified, or verify information that is being vetted out in the workplace. And I think there's enough signal within our product to be able to do that. We're not doing that today, but that is something that I believe that we will get to in the future.
Totally agree. Yeah. I think that it's one of the favorite capabilities of Guru. And earlier when Mitch was talking about other systems that are just focused on like authoring text and storing it somewhere, our mindset is like when you put something in Guru, Guru improves it for you. It's not that you just put it in there and then you can find it later. It's that it actually improves it. And that verification system is like sort of the core underpinning of that. So I think people love the idea that Guru enables this workflow. I think on the other side of that workflow, then you need to actually go and update the stuff to be the new right answer. And I think that's what feels like work to people. I think another thing that I think customers who do this well is the context they set around that verification work. If I sit down and I say, hey, Bob, I know you're busy, but can you also take on updating documentation? Bob would probably be like, hard pass. But if I said, hey, Bob, you know how much you're getting bothered by people asking you the same questions relentlessly because they don't know where to go to get the answer. Guru's going to handle that for you. And all you need to do is make sure the answers are right so that they keep on not bothering you, asking you the same questions. Bob's probably going to go sign me up. And that is a really important difference though, because everyone's busy. And if they don't understand the ROI behind the thing you're now asking them to do, they're just not going to do it. And again, you can see both paths with our customers. When it's not teed up that way, then Guru's strength becomes the problem, because Guru starts telling you very clearly, this is inaccurate, because the workflow exists for a reason. If people are ignoring it, that's not going to help anybody. But yeah, I think AI will change it. I think non dramatically, we can probably automate, I'll say half, a very meaningful amount of what today are manual verifications through techniques that we're working through now.
What would you say to someone that, expects AI to fully solve the outdated info problem? Like, do you even think that, obviously AI changes every day and exponentially every year, but is that a realistic goal, do you think?
I think the core thing that these systems exist for, Guru and any of them, is to like express the collective expertise of the company. That expertise comes out of a human's brain inside the company. You bring someone in, they're an expert on something, or they figure out something inside the company. They write that down for humans to use, also for other AI to use, to leverage, right? So I think it's the not nice way to say. I think it is a naive thought to say that you want to automate that, because automating that means that you no longer see a need for human-driven expertise inside a company. And the thing we have to remember about AI is it is the massive scale common denominator of all human expertise. The reason why it blows us away is I have no medical background whatsoever, but can ask any AI thing to help me do something in that field, and I'll have my mind blown, right? But it is still the lowest common denominator of expertise across all of these things. So that's why I'm calling it naive, because The outlier businesses and teams are the ones that figure out how to inject the like novel insight from the human, their expertise into this system. So I think there always should be humans in that process. I think when it doesn't feel like work anymore and the AI is coming to you to capture that expertise and it feels very organic and valuable to be doing that, because that what I'm putting out into this AI is helping the broader company, and you get that. I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with that. But again, I think if they do, they're kind of missing the point.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's a naive thought. The reason why I said it is because of the scale at which companies operate. You may have 100 employees, 1,000 employees, right? And even if you put AI in front of all of the different signals that these employees produce between meetings, meeting notes, calls, Slack channels, team channels, whatever it is, and that AI is listening to every one of those things, what you're going to find is that people are just going to be miseducated on how anything works. And if you have a verified piece of information that says this is how you do this exact thing, and let's say Rick comes along in a meeting and says, "Oh no, this is how you do it." Well, how do you resolve that conflict? If Rick is identified as the expert of a particular process and he says, "Oh, it's actually these 3 steps," well, is he misremembering? Or is he actually stating a brand new thing? How do you resolve that conflict? AI cannot resolve that conflict without a human going, "This is the verified aspect," and then multiply that by 1,000. So now you're trying to get all these signals from 1,000 employees, and they're not all going to say the same thing and have all the right answers and everything. So you need that conflict resolution. You need that human to say, this is the actual thing that is true. So I don't think you can ever trust AI to figure that out 100%, because AI does not understand how to take in new information and resolve itself without a human going, "Yes, this is the new world that we're living in. So now change your viewpoint on this particular fact or step or process or whatever."
Unfiltered office hours, asking our co-funders whatever we want, dropping knowledge. Management, baby.